Hello, and welcome to German Diction IPA. This is Class 3, Forward Vowels, and a few Consonants. In this lecture, we'll be reviewing which spellings make the forward vowel sounds. We'll examine two Bach chorale texts and identify the rules for the following consonants: v, f, sh, st, z, s, ts, and st. First, we'll review the worksheet we completed during Class 2, the Bach chorales. Take a moment to recall the rules. Basically, remember that a vowel followed by a single consonant, or an H, will be long and closed. A vowel followed by a double consonant will be short and open. You can always go back in your notes to review this more in depth. Now just take a moment, look this over, and remind yourself of what we did in class. If it helps to take out that worksheet, go right ahead. You may want to pause the video at this point. And here we have it. I'll read it once, and then you can pause it and read it again if you'd like. Ich will hier bei dir stehen, verachte mich doch nicht. Von dir will ich nicht gehen, wenn dir dein Herz bricht. Here we have the second part of the text that we did in class. So you might want to again take a moment to pause the video and just remind yourself of what these vowel sounds are. And here we have it. So again, I'll read it and you can take a moment to repeat when I'm done. Wenn dein Herz wird erblassen im letzten Todesstoß, alsdenn will ich dich fassen in meinen Arm und Schoß. And here's the text we didn't get to in class, but I think you guys will have no problem just filling this in really quickly. If you have your sheet, you can fill it in. If you want to do it mentally, that's fine. The important thing is that you feel comfortable with these rules. So, take a moment. And here we have it. Was mein Gott will, das gescheh allzeit. Sein Will, der ist der Beste. Zu helfen denen ist bereit, die an ihn glauben feste. So since we didn't do that one in class, you might want to spend a little more time practicing that. Now, searching for some rules. We're going to examine those two texts we just did and look for the spellings that make the following sounds: v, f, sh, st, z, s, ts, and st. Our first sound is v. This sound is voiced, which means that we feel vibration when we say it in our chords, and it's labiodental, which means it's made with the lips and the teeth. You don't have to be too concerned with that, but sometimes it's just good to know where you're making the sounds in your mouth. So take a moment now, look over this text, it just has the IPA, and identify all the v sounds. If you have your sheet from class, you can just take a pencil or a pen and circle them. And I'll give you a hint, there are 6. And here they are. So on the first line, second word, will. On the second line, third word, will. Second line, a few over, wenn. Third line, first word, wenn. Third line, fourth word, wird. And on the last line, second word, will. So, what pattern do you notice here? What spelling makes the v sound? When a W appears in any position, so it doesn't matter if it's in the beginning of the word or in the middle of the word, it's always going to be v. And some more examples are Wonne, which means joy, erwachen, awaken, and ewig, which is eternal. And just so you know, there is no w sound in German. You will never ever say w. Now the next sound we come to is f, and it's the unvoiced pair of v. So unvoiced means that there is no vibration when the sound is made. And this is also labiodental, which means it's made with the lips and the teeth. So let's look through this text again and find all the f sounds. There's a few. And here we have 3. On the first line, verachten. On the next line, von. And on the last line, fassen. So in these texts we see the f sound made with 2 different spellings. The first one is when we have a written V, and that can appear at any position, usually in the beginning of the word and sometimes at the end. And when an F appears in any position, we have a f sound. And when we have a written PH appear in any position as a unit, we make the f sound. But this doesn't happen that often, but it's good to know about, especially if you're doing sacred music like Bach and Handel and that kind of stuff. And some examples of words with f are Vater, which means father, Feind, which means enemy, and Propheten, which means prophets. Now we come to a fun one, sh. This is unvoiced and pre-palatal, which means the tip of the tongue is just before the hard palate. It's not touching the hard palate. And in German, the sh is a little bit more forward than our American sh. It requires a little more air and a little more energy than its English equivalent. So keep that in mind. We've talked about that already a little bit. So take a moment and find all the sh sounds. Give you a hint, there's only one. And it's on the last line, Schoß. And this is actually enough to show the rule for the sh sound. When SCH appears as a single unit in any position. So some other examples are schön, which means beautiful, and the SCH comes at the beginning of the word, and then Mensch, where the SCH comes at the end of the word. Something important to note is that when word parts are combined, they still maintain their individual pronunciation. So, for example, when we take mouse and combine it with the diminutive chen, it creates Mäuschen. So the S still stays s and the sh is still sh, but it doesn't become Mäuschen. So that's just something to be careful of and aware of. Most of the time when you see SCH, it's going to be as a single unit, but just be aware that sometimes it's not. Our next sound is st, and this is unvoiced, and it's a consonant cluster, which means we have 2 consonants next to each other. And it's prepalatal, so the sh is prepalatal, and the t is dental, meaning that the tongue touches the teeth in order to make that sound. So let's find all the sh sounds. We have 2. One on the first line, stehen, and on the third line, the last word, Stoß, which is part of Todesstoß. So which spellings make that sound, the st sound? And notice what position they're in. This is a very important part for this sound. Most of the time we see the st sound when a written st appears in the beginning of a word or a word part. And then also, this was not in that text we just looked at, but when SCHT appeared in any position, usually at the end of a word. And some more examples of this are Stadt, verstehen, and herrscht. This next one is ts, and it's unvoiced and a consonant cluster. So again, 2 consonants next to each other. And we have a few in our text. And we see them on the second line, second to last word, Herze. And again, Then again on the third line, third word, Herz. And then the third line, second to last word, letzten. So there's two main spellings that make this sound. When a Z appears in any position, and when a TZ appears in any position. So some examples are zittern, Netz, Herz. So here are the consonants we've covered so far in this lesson. V, F, Sh, St, Z. Here we have the new text that we're doing. Was mein Gott will, das gescheh allzeit, sein will, der ist der Beste. Zu helfen denen ist bereit, die an ihn glauben feste. So take a moment and find all those consonant sounds that we just went over. You can either circle them on your sheet or you can identify them mentally. So here we have was, will, gescheh, allzeit, will, zu, helfen, feste. Now we're going to look at words that contain the sound z. And z is a voiced consonant, and it's also dental, which means the tongue is near the teeth. So we find z in words like sah, ansehen, Nase, also, Rose, Reise, Insel. So we notice that we make the z sound whenever s precedes a vowel. So here are some more examples. Sehen, versenken, also. Our next sound is s, and this is unvoiced and dental. It's the unvoiced version of z. And here are some words that have the s sound. Wasser, Saas, Gras, Häuschen, genießen, Liebes, als, Schoß. And for Häuschen, remember this is made of two parts, Häus and Chen. So we make the s sound whenever a double S appears as a single unit, whenever the SZ is written, and when S appears at the end of a word or word part. So for example, muss, mean must, Fuß, foot, and das. And now just an important note on the difference between a double S and an SZ. Both the SS, the double S, and the SZ make the S sound, but they are not interchangeable. The SS is a double consonant, while the SZ is a single consonant. Until 2003, they were both used interchangeably in scores, and so when you're learning a new song or an aria, you should always check a good dictionary. So why is this difference important? Well, you remember that a vowel followed by a single consonant is long and closed. A vowel followed by a double consonant is short and open. So the SS is a double consonant while the SZ is a single consonant, so it has an effect on the length and the quality of the vowel. Now native German speakers know this already. They don't use the spellings to determine the pronunciation the same way we do. So if you ask a German native speaker, of course they're going to say Fuß is long, whether it's spelt with a double S or a SZ, but as non-native speakers, we rely very heavily on the spellings in order to determine the pronunciation. So that's why this is important for us as we learn German diction and the rules. And now on to our next sound, st. And this is unvoiced, and again it's a consonant cluster. We're going to look again at that new text, Was mein Gott will, the chorale from the Matthäus Passion, and let's try to find some of those st sounds. There are two. So the second line, last word, beste, and the last line, last word, feste. So the rule for that is when a written st appears in the middle or end of a word, never at the beginning of a word. So for example, fest, beste, Meister. Those are all the sounds we're going to do for this week. Why don't we just do a quick review of all the sounds and the rules that we just learned. So for the v sound, we do the v whenever a w appears in any position. When a written v appears in any position, or when a written f appears in any position, or written ph appears as a single unit. And remember that this doesn't happen all that often. Next sound, sh, when sch appears as a single unit in any position. Sht, when a written st appears at the beginning of a word or word part. When scht appears in any position, but usually at the end of a word. Ts, when a written z appears in any position, or when a written tz appears in any position. Z, when s appears before a vowel. S, when a written double s appears anywhere as a single unit. When the st is written, and when a written s appears at the end of a word or a word part. And finally, st, when the written st appears in the middle or end of a word, but never at the beginning of a word. Here's a list of words, and with all the rules we've gone over in this lecture and the previous, you should know fairly well how to pronounce these words. So take a moment, pause the video, go through this list, and if you are able to do all these without problem, you've really captured everything and really understood everything that we've gone over so far. If there are questions and things are still not clear, you might want to go back in the video, this one's not too long, and just review so that you become comfortable with these rules. Again, we're going to practice more how to say these in class, but the understanding of what to say when you can work on right now. So here we go. Pause the video, take a few minutes to look over this list, and when you come back and hit play again, I will say all these words so you can check yourself. Wasser, was, Hilfe, fest, viel, Sti, frisch, beste, Arz, zagen, Vieh, sehen, letzte, stehlen, viel. As long as you have a good understanding of these rules, feel free to stop the video. But if you'd like a little more practice, there's a text from Schumann's Frauenliebe und Leben, and the famous song cycle for soprano or mezzo. And we're going to go over that, but it's not required. It's only if you'd like some more practice. So if you're done, have a great week, and I'll see you next class. And if you want to continue, here we go. Here's the poem, and just, again, it's really important first to know what we're saying. So take a moment to read through this somewhat poetic translation that I made. And here we have a word for word, so we know exactly what we're saying when. So it's good to know both the poetic meaning, but also the individual words. And here's a recording of Marianne Barrett, the German teacher in the college division, reading this poem.
Seit ich ihn gesehen, glaub ich blind zu sein. Wo ich hin nur blicke, seh ich ihn allein. Wie im wachen Traume schwebt sein Bild mir vor, taucht aus tiefstem Dunkel heller nur empor.
Now, in order to prepare the text a little better, let's do what we did in previous videos and in the last class, which is where we identify all the vowel sounds and just speak those continuously. So here we have all our vowel sounds, and I'll go through it once just so you hear it. And again, this is going to feel really awkward or uncomfortable and feel funny at first. But again, I encourage you to try it a few times, and it really helps get the sounds into your body and helps establish that legato, which sometimes is difficult to achieve in German. So, I, how, Now here are just the consonants, because some of them we haven't really gone over too much of in class. So here they are. Z, t, sh, n, g, z, n, gl, sh, bl, n, t, ts, z, n, v, sh, n, bl, k, z, sh, n, l. And now we'll put it together really slowly. Seit ich ihn gesehen, glaub ich blind zu sein. Wo ich hin nur blicke, seh ich ihn allein. Do that as many times as you need in order to feel comfortable. This is really the only way to get it into your body and feel confident that all the sounds you're making are 100% accurate. You're going to notice going so slowly if anything is off or if you're unsure of something, so it's a great check. I would encourage you to do the same process for the second part of the text. I've given you the IPA, and do the same thing. Find the vowel sounds, speak them, intone them first, identify all the consonants, just speak the consonants so you know which ones you're doing, and then go really slowly. I will recite the poem really slowly and sustained so you know what the goal is. We can, of course, work on this more in class. Wie im wachen Traume schwebt sein Bild mir vor, taucht aus tiefstem Dunkel heller nur empor. And that's it for this week. And if you have any questions, send me an email or just ask in class next time. Have a great week.